Welcome back to another season preview on SJHL.ca. My name's Jeromy Corrigan, the media manager for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And of course, all of our season previews are brought to you by the Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. And today's preview, we preview the Nipawin Hawks, and we're pleased to be joined by the head coach and general manager of the Hawks, Tad Kozun. Tad, thanks so much for joining us today. How's it going?
Been pretty good. Been busy. Looking forward to getting the year going, and excited to get back at her.
Yeah, and it's a busy time for all 12 Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League teams, to say the least. But before we talk about this upcoming season, let's just briefly talk about last year. And it was a big year of change, I guess, for the Nipawin Hawks. You slid into the role of being head coach and general manager, and a young hockey club for the Nipawin Hawks, finishing 11th in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. When you look back at last season, what can you kind of take away from last year?
I think just a learning curve throughout kind of the whole organization. Obviously, like you mentioned, it was a big change there in December, and taking over and all that stuff. It was a big learning curve, and I feel like we did a lot of development with our guys, and I know we didn't finish where we want to, but it is what it is, and we ended up with 3 20-year-olds on our roster at the end of the year and a lot of injuries. So some nights we were dressing 5 to 6 APs, and really happy with how they came in and showcased themselves and get you excited for the future. So we got a lot of returning guys right now coming back, and really looking forward to seeing what we can do. And I think the development we did last year and just the structure we got in place, and some of our fundamentals, that obviously things are changing around here, and just getting that in place. Really looking forward to seeing how it all comes together this year.
Now, we kind of touched on it, but you took over as head coach and general manager of the Nipawin Hawks halfway through the season. For you personally, how was this transition going from an assistant coach to being the head coach?
Just more responsibility, I guess. You kind of get thrown into the fire a little bit, and you kind of got to learn on the go, and away you go. But, kudos to all the coaches in the league, and, the presidents and stuff just helping out. And I was able to bring on Dana Dirks as my assistant general manager, and me and him work really well together. So having a guy like that by my side all the time is obviously huge. And, we're really looking forward to building a huge program here and becoming elite.
Now, you kind of mentioned you guys do have a lot of returning players coming back because you were such a young team last season. But overall, when you look at the grand scheme of things when it comes to the off season, for your first off season, being able to be the general manager of the Nipawin Hawks, and how was everything when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to the transaction front for you guys?
Obviously, we made quite a few moves. Wanted to change up everything kind of in Nipawin as far as that goes. Needed to move some guys out, needed to bring some guys that just, figure out what our needs were. And obviously we didn't score a ton of goals last year. So that was one of our big things that we needed to address to make sure, because when you finish at the bottom of scoring goals and, kind of in the middle of the pack of keeping them out of your net, you should be winning more hockey games when you're not giving up as many. But when you can't score, you're not going to win. So that's something we need to address. And some of the guys that are returning and some of the guys that were recruited, I think they'll do a great job of that, and we're really looking forward to seeing who can take that next step and become that leader and become that goal scorer that we can rely on night in, night out.
Yeah, we discussed about how young you guys were last year, and you kind of just alluded to my next question, actually. When you have a young group like that and coming back next year, who are some players that maybe in your eyes you could see, taking that next big step to help you guys moving forward and playing a big role this season?
For us, it's Brian Kiesman, Rylan Lefebvre, Braxton Buckberger, Joel Maben, and McGuire Ratzloff, all returning. And then we got a kid out of Quebec, FX Bedard, that, we really see those guys as kind of our nucleus of scoring goals. And I mean, there's many more that I could list. And, everybody that we have coming back brings a different dimension to our team. And we're really excited just to see how well they mesh. And that's going to be our big thing, is making sure we can find line mates for everyone, and having 4 lines deep to be able to go at teams in different waves and play with a lot of pace and really get after it.
For this young team, how valuable was just the experience of last year and playing a full season in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League now going into this year?
It's huge. I mean, you look at some of these kids didn't play hockey for 2 years straight. And
right.
You look at our 19-year-olds that were rookies last year. I mean, they're coming back at 20 where they should be their 3rd year in the league, and instead it's only their 2nd. So just the learning curve of that and getting them back into the groove of things, and just playing, a normal year and kind of getting away for it. And I mean, COVID's still there now, but obviously it's kind of on everybody's back burner now. And we had to go through it last year, but I think it's going to be nice to be able to come into camp and not have to worry about, vaccinations and testing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it could come up, but hopefully not. But it's going to be nice to get everybody back in and see what they did over the summertime and see what they did to improve themselves and make sure they're a Nipawin Hawk again this year.
Now, when you're looking at your roster going into this season, where do you think the strength of this hockey team lies?
It's hard to say right now. Obviously, being in my first year and the recruiting we've done, and with everybody coming back, like I said, we didn't score a ton of goals last year, so I'm hoping that we've addressed that. But it's gonna. I think the first few weeks of the season, we're gonna find out what we're really made of and see if we have any more holes to plug or what we can do in that regard. So I don't really have an answer for you right there, just because obviously with the first year. We're just excited to see where we get to and how we start rolling at the start of the year.
And I guess finally, Tad, I'll finish on a bit of a two-part question, but it's your first full season as head coach and general manager of the Nipawin Hawks. First, what would you like to accomplish this year? And two, in the grand scheme of things, when this team is playing the way you want them to play, how are they playing?
We want to play fast and tenacious. Not giving up pucks, making sure we're working as a unit of five, staying consistent night in and night out, making sure we don't take days off. And other than that, I mean, it's going to be a new brand of hockey. I think it's big time up tempo, a lot of speed, making sure we finish our hits and all that kind of stuff, and making sure we play good defense. We got to play a 200-foot game to be successful in this league, and that's going to be our goal. Or for the Hawks, I guess, is we want to make sure we're in the playoffs. That's going to be our number one goal, is to make sure we get in the playoffs, because once you're in, you just never know what's going to happen. And going from there, it's all about development for these kids and making sure they have fun. The big thing for me is we come to the rink every day. We work hard. We have fun. We do this together. We're all in this together, and we don't leave anybody behind, no matter what.
Well, Tad, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And best of luck this year as your first year as head coach and general manager with the Nipawin Hawks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That is head coach and GM of the Nipawin Hawks, Tad Kozun. And the Hawks will open up their season on the road on September 16th in La Ronge against the Ice Wolves, and then have their home opener the very next night as they play host to the Flin Flon Bombers.